Welcome to Commercially Driven Decisions, Being Intentional with Story Choices. Court Stevens is a USA Today bestselling and award-winning fiction author of Faking Normal, The Lies About Truth, Dress Codes for Small Towns, 4321, The June Boys, We Were Kings, Last Girl Breathing, and Tell Me Something Good, a Target Book Club pick. Her work blends suspense with emotionally resonant themes of identity and transformation. She previously served as executive director of the Warren County Public Library in Kentucky and now provides consulting services for leaders, nonprofits, civic organizations, and also editorial services and coaching for authors and aspiring novelists.
So much of what we're going to cover tonight is weighty, and it can be applied in various ways. And so I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And I know like plotting in general and editing in general are overwhelming tasks lots of times. Just undertaking the writing of a book or a screenplay or any kind of narrative can be overwhelming, and because there's so many decisions that get made, which is why like what we're talking about tonight is like, if there's 1,000 decisions that go into every story, how do we take some of those decisions and kind of predetermine what the audience size might look like? I've been with HarperCollins since 2012, and and I started writing young adult and what I like to call trauma dramas. And truly, I think that like what my editor said in the beginning was like, these are quiet novels, right? As any, or how many of you are familiar or have gotten some feedback at some point in time that said this is quiet? And so I set out over the course of my career to really kind of understand how not to write a quiet novel. Like, how do I increase the number of people who might be interested in the novel with the things that I can control? Like, obviously having a great cover. I mean, there's many, many things that influence the market. Tonight is not about all of the ones that are out of your control. Okay. They're about the ones that are within your control. And so we're going to talk through those as we go. Ultimately, like, we're talking about potential market size, decisions that influence the like how large or how small the audience would be based on what we know about audiences. And so it's story creation, okay? But like, I don't want you to get confused. Market potential is how many people could this story plausibly appeal to? That should not be confused in any way with like what we think of as artistic achievement, okay? I used to kind of think of it as like on one end of the spectrum, I would put a blockbuster, and on the other end of the spectrum, I would put art. And yet we also know like art can have massive market potential. And so like, how do we kind of pull those two apart and just say, how are we going to tackle market potential? And there's lots of ways to do it, right? And so like, just for a second, and I'll use a lot of movie examples because I feel like they're a little bit easier to explain. And so this, I chose these two first. Everything within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like not just one film, but like kind of literally everything that's there, versus Anora, which is the 2026 Best Picture of the Year, which I could not have told you that, by the way. So they're still in one like way or shape at the top of a market, and yet they have wildly different market sizes. And I mean, and I can now, granted, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is made up of a bunch of different films, right? So when I say this number, it's clearly more than just one, so that's a little unfair. But it's worth about $32.5 billion, where Anora 41 million. Now, I mean, again, no small change, but lots of different choices were made that like no one when they wrote Anora was like, I bet we make $32 billion on this film. Like, that's not the way they would have set that out. And so like these two measures, like they correlate between like artistic recognition and commercial reach but they're still just wildly different. Okay. And so we want to talk about ultimately what I think of as the psychology of entertainment. So when we're talking about market size, we're really testing our understanding of entertainment itself.